Hi everybody, today's video is going to be about how to change the air filter and the cabin or the pond filter on the Boxster 987. According to the service history, it was last done 2 years ago. I'm a little bit sceptical as to the quality of what was put in there, and I've never put the car into service mode before, but let's see how I get on. Here she is, parked up and ready to go. So I think if you've watched any of my previous videos, you probably noticed it's quite dark here in this little underground car park. Lighting's not great, but managed to get a hold of one of these. Pretty good, from local Lidl. Gives us a bit of light. So first things first, let's have a look at what I am going to be replacing it with. Right, picked up the man filter for the cabin filter replacement. I'm pretty sure that's OEM standard. And then for the air filter I went for the Marley brand. Just because Marley, man, there's not a huge world of difference as long as it does the job and it is a decent filter. I didn't want to go for anything cheaper than that really. Yeah, no point unboxing it. I'm sure you all know what an air filter looks like. The cool part will be seeing how it compares with what's already in there. The other kit that I've brought with me to do this, just got Torx bits in there, ratchets, screwdrivers, the usual stuff. In here, got some microfiber towels and just some soft towels to put over the paintwork so I don't scratch it. And from doing work on my other cars, this is important, little magnetic tray to put screws inside and a pickup tool just in case I drop anything. So I think first step is going to be replacing the cabin filter. Probably the most straightforward thing. I'm going to pop open the front, take off the covers, and let's see if we can get at it. Okay, open the front, and if you've seen my last couple of videos, I did show how to take these covers off, but it's really easy. Just one plastic connector there, one plastic connector there. Turn it one way. This way and lift. Out that one comes. There's the battery if you ever need to get to it. Oh, she has decided to lock herself. There we go. And then these covers, there's just two tabs under there, so you need to pull up from this side, and just bearing in mind that you lift this piece of trim up here as well. Make sure that doesn't get stuck in the way. And there we go. Behind here, that's where the cabin filter sits. So I believe first step will be undo these two screws here and here, take off this metal plate, and then let's get to whatever it is behind there. Okay. So it looks like the previous cabin filter wasn't installed properly. Yeah. Okay, well, sure I can do a better job than this. I think there's also a tab on the left hand side here somewhere that I need to take out. Let's have a look. Yep. Just back here. And before I do that, I'm gonna go grab some gloves to stop my hands getting filthy. Right, I've got a better angle on it now. If you can just see where my index finger is, there's a little tab, plastic tab. Push on it, and out that comes. So, if I'm not mistaken, this needs to be lifted out of this plastic tray and pulled into towards me. Bit more stuff needs getting out of the way. There we go. Well, looks like somebody's made a bit of a dog's mess out of that. It's not the dirtiest cabin filter I've seen, certainly not the cleanest. There's a bit of crap stuck inside. Don't particularly care for that, so I'm just going to dump it on the side. What is interesting though is, look how bloody dirty this is. The detailer in me is not impressed, but I'll clean that at some stage. Best to check down here now, this is where the important stuff is. There's no dirt and debris, and actually looks quite good. The fan there itself as well is looking fairly clear of any debris, so I'm happy with that. Now then, here's the new filter unboxed. Actually, let's grab the old one and compare them side by side. Because that one's Marley and this one's Man. Looks to be a bit of difference in construction as well. Maybe it's just because of the age, but the Marley one, the Man one, feels a lot more solid, whereas this one's kind of just flopping around. Which isn't great, but could also be because it seems to have been crushed on the way in. Right, so with the Man pollen filters you usually find a set of instructions that come with it. Semi-helpful, I mean it's easy enough to get to. What isn't great is that despite buying it for a right hand car, the instructions for a left hand drive. But the principle's the same, so let's have a stab at putting it in. Unfortunately I couldn't record putting the filter in, I had to use both hands, but there it is, in situ. I found that putting in this corner first was a lot easier than trying to go that way, not least because that plastic tab's there getting in the way, so you've got to make sure you're not pushing against the tab as you go in. Unfortunately I couldn't record the video of me putting the filter in. Here it is in situ. I had to use both hands, that's why I couldn't record. Not got myself a tripod yet, working on that. But yeah, so I found putting it in was easier if started with this corner first. So slid it in that way and then twisted it and pushed down. Reason being because that plastic tab on the left hand side, if you go in on the left hand side, you're kind of pushing the tab into the lock position. Once you start trying to fiddle with putting it into the holder as well, it's quite easy to crush it, which is clearly what the person before me did. But if you're just gentle and make sure that this side of it is sat into the tray properly, it'll eventually go in. And then because of that foam lip around the edge, it also feels like it's not going to go in, but you just gently need to wiggle it and push it down. And then on this side, push that, click that tab back in place. Job done. All I need to do now is record the mileage and the date so I can put that in the service history. Time to move on to the air filter. I think that's going to be a bit more of a challenge. There we go. To remove the air filter I need to put the car into service mode. Got the handbook with me. First step is to move the convertible roof, well, it says 60 centimeters behind the closed position, but who the hell's got a ruler to measure that? Do it by ear, by eye, by sight. Then need to remove the upper ball heads of the tension ropes and undo the fabric covering from the two holders. So let's get going with that. Key in, ignition on, undo the roof, And then back it goes. Let's see. Is that about 60 centimetres? Probably. It'll do for now. Let's see if it works. I'll turn the ignition off. Take the key out. Round to the back. Let's grab the work light. So it's easier to see. On it comes. Where are these tension bulbs? Ah, okay. I think there's one just here where my thumb is, and there'll be another one on the other side. Right, time to put the phone down and grab the book again. Make sure I'm looking at the right thing, and I'm going to put a towel across here because it looks like I'm going to be leaning over it for a good while. Another one-handed video here. There's the tension cable and the little ball that you've got to remove from where my finger's touching against there. So that's the first step. It seems I'm going to repeat that on the other side. That's the second side off now. And next step is to undo the fabric covering from the two holders downwards. I believe that is this fabric here. Oh, it looks like that's just already come down. Hooks up into there. So that's already come down here. No idea, but on to the next step. Hi again, folks. A bit of a break in the video for a couple of reasons. One is that where I last got to, I was meant to be keeping the roof held up in position after removing the little eyelets and following the rest of the guide. But basically what happened was the strap that Porsche give, which is tucked underneath the bottom of the roof and has a little elastic loop on it, you're meant to use that little elastic loop on the end and hook it to the top of the roof mechanism so you can keep the roof held up. But basically what happened was the elastic loop itself snapped. So I was a bit like, I don't know quite what to do about that. The other reason I had to take a pause in the video was also because there's a couple of family issues I had to deal with. But anyway, coming back to this, I looked in the front, and I remember the chap I bought it off a couple of weeks back said he was basically dealing with this car as a project car, and he knew there was a few things that needed doing with it, and what I found in the front was bungee cord. Perfect solution. Now, the elastic wasn't already broken, but it was on its last legs anyway. It wasn't anything that I did, which makes me think the previous owner spotted it too, which is why the bungee cord was sat there in the front. So look, it's not ideal, but let's engineer a solution out of it. Crack on, see if I can get to the air filter. Alright, what I've done is I have attached both bungee cords. There's like a metal sort of flange here, which I've attached one end to because going up along this part of the roof there's not really anything the bungee cord can hook onto that looks pretty robust, so I've hooked one end onto there and the other onto here, which is where you're supposed to put the velcro strap that Porsche give you anyway, and I've done the same on the other side just so that neither bungee cord is in too much tension and there's not uneven load on the metal flanges on either side of the roof. The thing where I'm a little bit puzzled is if you look at the strap that comes with the roof, bearing in mind the elastic loop at the end should be about there, it's really short and I have absolutely no idea why this is supposed to be long enough to go all the way to that hook over there. I mean, this roof is about as far forward as I can get it, unless I've done something wrong, in which case do please correct me and let me know. But I've followed every guide that I could find, and the instruction manual down to the T. Now that's done. Next step is going to be taking off the Bose head unit. So I'm going to remove that plug there, and then from what I gather, there is a little electrical connector here, which will need unplugging as well. So I'll get onto that in a minute. Then once that's out, this comes out, that comes out of there, this cover comes off, and then there should be the metal panel for the engine cover underneath it. Alright, these are quite easy to remove. You just lift up this flap here, twist and pull out, and it comes out. It's just a plastic plug like that. The Bose connector has, I'll just put a video there, it's just got plastic tabs either side of it. The left one's quite hard to get to, but the right one's easily accessible. Just squeeze and pull out. So that's disconnected. Taking the other side out, so then I remove this and get to the one underneath. Both those covers are gone now, and what we're left with is this metal engine cover, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts that need removing, and they are Torx bolts. That one's seen better days. Hopefully it'll come out alright. Could do with replacing it actually. Let's get him out. Hopefully this will come off without any bother. Did notice that there's a bit of dirt and debris down here. Unfortunately I can't bring a vacuum cleaner down here, there's no power sockets, but that could do with tidying up. Almost there, just this to come off now. Alright, run into a bit of a snag already. As I kind of predicted, this bolt here and the one on the opposite side, and possibly even that one up there, I haven't tried it yet. I think they've been over tightened, and they seem to be seized in place. Not sneezed in place, seized in place. What I'm going to do is turn to my trusted penetrant, this stuff called Aerocroil. If you see my video on removing the intake manifold on the 740D, this is the only thing that works when you have metal parts that just won't budge. So I'm going to spray some into both bolts there, maybe just the one at the top, and see how I get on. But yeah, that's not ideal. Hopefully it's nothing more than just being over tightened. Let's give it a go. It's only been about a minute since I sprayed the Aerocroil. It's going to take some time to work, but I did decide to spray it on all the bolts, and just wanted to show you something. So this is one of them that wasn't causing me any problems, but you can see first of all it's shiny, the penetrant has already gone through, so it will definitely go through in the others, but there's this weird kind of corrosion there. Might have been caused by somebody putting it in incorrectly. A good chunk of the metal there seems to be missing, which isn't a good sign, so I think I'm going to order some replacement bolts and put them on. You know, you can see the rust is also coming off on the tips of the gloves. Not great. Definitely going to order some replacement bolts. Okay, give it a few more minutes and then I'll attack the seized bolts as well. This one's on its way out. Had to do it two-handed, so there's no video of it, but using this little ratchet made an almighty bang when the seize part of the bolt finally became free. Just loosening it now, and I'm going to clean up that pink excess, which is some of the penetrant. Okay, once this bolt comes out, let's have a look at it. Ooh, that is not good. I have absolutely no idea how that's happened, or who's done what to those threads, but that doesn't look good, does it? Right, Time to take off the other three. Bad news, unfortunately. Everything was going fine. But in trying to remove this bottom left bolt, it also turns out the reason why I couldn't get it out was the bolt head is stripped and the Torx bit isn't catching it properly. I don't know if you can see that well in the video, but I don't have the kit to get that out, so unfortunately everything's going to have to go back in place. I have to put the screws back on, hand tighten them this time. And I'll have to go over to the specialist to remove this bottom left and that middle bolt. Now look, yeah, not best pleased about that. Should be a relatively straightforward job to get this off, and was looking forward to it. Turns out it's going to be quite an expensive fix for me, so what I'll probably do as well is either buy the bolts and give them to the specialist, or just ask him to put some new bolts in as well at the same time. Not a happy bunny, I have to say.